I started off on my own, then I got respected. Put all my time into the grind and then I got connected. A few done turned their backs on me and I felt neglected. Now I'm moving on without them unapologetic.
Welcome back, Truth Gang. And for all the people who are not subscribed, who's seeing my videos for the first time, welcome to Unapologetic Truth, the channel where we speak the truth and don't apologize for it, because why? The truth never apologizes. Okay, today we're gonna get into the looming martial law, right? A lot of things been going on this earth that that's been staged so they can actually call for martial law, like the Capitol riot, staged. The bombing that was happening, it was an inside job. It's all the riots that's going on. You know, they called it order out of chaos. That's what they call it. You know, they create the problem and then they introduce the solution. So they create the problem, then they introduce the solution to the problem. And the solution to the problem is calling for martial law, for order out of chaos. Alright, let's get to the first video. I want to show you a few things that were staged and a few things that will be staged. Alright. We're gonna mute it on the commercial. Alright, here we go.
Rounding up suspects from the Capitol riot while chasing down new threats. And the FBI sent out some chilling advice to officers before they make those arrests. Here's CBS's Jeff Pegues.
An FBI bulletin obtained by CBS News says large caches of weapons like this one had been recovered from suspects' homes, and that police should consider use of SWAT techniques when arresting protesters who were photographed in body armor. Prosecutors released evidence against protester Lonnie Kaufman, who allegedly had an assault-style rifle, Molotov cocktails, and a target list in his truck near the Capitol. Today, the FBI arrested Robert Packer, the man seen wearing a Camp Auschwitz shirt. This Idaho man, Josiah Colt, seen hanging from the Senate chamber balcony, has been arrested and charged with violent entry. And the FBI used an armored vehicle to arrest this man in New York for making threats to travel to Washington with weapons. While the roundups continue, the FBI is investigating coordination among attackers. Videos showing people acting together to breach the Capitol and attack police, including this line of men moving up the steps wearing...
So you telling me that Trump got these people out here acting a doggone fool, a fool of themselves? He told them to do this and they still get arrested. Your president told you to do this and you still get arrested. That is crazy. That's crazy.
Military-style vests and helmets. Democrat Mikey Sherrill, a combat veteran, accused some of her congressional colleagues of working with the demonstrators.
Those members of Congress who had groups coming through the Capitol that I saw on January 5th, a reconnaissance for the next day, I'm going to see that they're held accountable.
Sherrill said that she has passed on her information to law enforcement. Harry Litman is a former U.S. attorney.
It's mind-boggling. I mean, that sitting congressmen may actually have helped insurrectionists storm the Capitol. That's Benedict Arnold territory.
So you got people of higher office making this happen. Not just Trump, it's other people in higher offices who had this happen as well. it's all because, well, it's because of two-part thing. First thing is because Trump don't want to leave office. The second thing is, like I told you in my last video, I do believe that they stole the election. So they creating all these problems. Because we're going to get to that part later about the calling for martial law thing. I'm going to show you. But they making all of these things, problems happen so they can introduce the solution, which is call for martial law to establish order in society. Order out of chaos.
Story.
And late today, Olympic swimmer Cleet Keller was charged with violent entry for his participation in the rioting. A large number of weapons and explosives were found around the Capitol last week, and the question that investigators tonight are trying to answer is, were they going to be used as part of some coordinated plot? Today, FBI Director Christopher Wray held a conference call with police agencies across the country, reminding them to remain vigilant as they face a number of potential threats. Nora.
Jeff Pegues, thank you.
The only way Trump can't leave office or won't leave office or don't have to leave office is if he called for martial law. That cancels everything the election did. Period. And he will be not a president, but a dictator. It's a difference. Look it up. Alright, let's get to the next video, y'all. Let's get to the next video. Now I want y'all to pay close attention to what this lady is saying. Right.
Law enforcement agencies across the country to be on alert as groups threaten to storm courthouses if President Trump is removed from office. It comes as Capitol Hill officials work to step up security ahead of Inauguration Day. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is asking the federal government for help.
I sent a letter yesterday requesting that the president declare a pre-emergency disaster for the District of Columbia. This is necessary because the inauguration poses several unprecedented challenges that exceed the scope of our traditional planning processes. The COVID-19 pandemic, and of course, the domestic terror attack on the United States Capitol.
Now, if you remember back in my last video, right, the last one I posted, right, I told you all of this stuff was interconnected. She just solidified what I said in my last video. 19. What's going on at the Capitol? That bombing. All this stuff is interconnected because all these people that you see in front of you, they all playing a role. Every last one of them is playing a role. But they all want the same goal. They all want the new world order. They all want the same goal. You might think that they're fighting in front of you with each other, but behind closed doors, they plotting on everybody with each other. All that back and forth stuff, that's an act. They both are from the same thing. They want the same goal. They want to establish the new world order. Martial law. They want to be the dictators.
Bowser is urging people not to travel to Washington, instead asking people to watch the event virtually. For more, let's bring in CBS News reporter Nicole Skanga. Hi there, Nicole. Before we get to that FBI warning, what are you learning about Chad Wolf's resignation?
Well, the announcement came in a staff-wide letter sent by Acting Secretary Chad Wolf this afternoon to staff at the Department of Homeland Security. He said, quote, "I'm stepping down as your acting secretary. I'm saddened to take this step as it was my intention to serve the department until the end of this administration." And that's right, Elaine. In fact, Acting Secretary Wolf had formerly announced on the Thursday following the assault on the U.S. Capitol Wednesday that it was his intention to stay. He was not going to step down or resign as other cabinet level officials had. Also in this letter, the announcement that Pete Gaynor, the current FEMA administrator, will become the acting secretary effective 11:59 p.m. tonight. So that going out.
Do that seem strange to y'all? Days before the riots happened at the Capitol, the Secretary of Defense steps down, and the head of FEMA will become the Secretary of Defense. That don't seem strange to you? We know FEMA is connected with martial law. We know this. Does that not seem strange to you that days before this went down, the secretary has stepped down? If this ain't waking you up, I'm connecting some dots for y'all. Things I said in my last video, you seeing in this one. Like, I'm connecting dots. If you don't see the dots connecting and where things are leading to, then you lost. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Let's see what else she got to say.
Out in a department-wide letter to staff. Now, in his message, Wolf also acknowledges to employees that he was effectively forced to take this step because of a lot of legal questions surrounding his appointment as acting secretary of DHS. In fact, most recently on Friday, a judge in San Francisco became the latest of a series of federal judges to find that Wolf was not lawfully appointed as acting secretary of DHS because the department had failed to adhere to certain legal requirements for leadership appointments. So Wolf also writing.
So he been serving as the Secretary of Defense and he wasn't doing it legally? He wasn't legally elected? That the corruption goes on. Wow, that is crazy.
In this letter, quote, "Unfortunately, this action is warranted by recent events, including the ongoing and what he calls meritless court rulings regarding the validity of my authority as acting secretary." One more note on this, Elaine. As the siege was occurring on the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, Acting Secretary Wolf was overseas. He was on a diplomatic mission in the Middle East, so he was not on U.S. soil. He had to cut that trip short and return as soon as he learned of the events unfolding at the Capitol. We've not seen him in public. He's not addressed the press since last Wednesday.
All right, we'll see if any more details on that resignation.
What if he had something to do with it also? And that's why he really resigned. Like, this really is a straight up takeover. For real. And all led by Donald Trump. Alright, now, remember I told you. Remember I told you that weeks before this, Donald Trump was calling for martial law. Right? He defunded the military. And it called for martial law. Now why? But you gotta understand this. When they call for martial law, they're not going to use our military. Because our military is not going to want to shoot Americans. guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna use a foreign military, the UN military. If you don't know what the UN military is, then you need to do your research. So they're gonna use the UN military, which is a mixture of military personnel highly trained from each country, the top ranked ones from each country. That's the military they're gonna use when they call for martial law. That's the world military. Remember, they're trying to move into a new world order. The UN military will be the world military. Not for the people, but for the elites. Let's get this video. This is Donald Trump. This is information about Donald Trump.
And I don't know if the reports are true, but the Washington Times has just reported some pretty compelling evidence from a facial recognition company showing that some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters. They were masquerading as Trump supporters, and in fact, were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa.
Now, I don't need fact checks to tell me anything about this, right? I know they wasn't Antifa, and the reason I know they weren't Antifa would not go without a mask. They wear masks, so they won't be detected. They know about the facial recognition. They know about, you know, the camera set up everywhere. Like I told you in a few videos before this one, the surveillance of America. If you haven't seen it, scroll down my video list and you go check it out. But they know about the cameras, and the cameras use facial recognition, right? So the camera reads your face against thousands and hundreds of thousands of people a second until they pop up with a match. So when Antifa go in, they don't use their bare face. They use masks, so they won't be detected because they know about these things. So that's how I know those was Trump supporters that did that, because Antifa would have been very much well coordinated than that. Let's see what this is talking about. Okay. It says pro-Trump supporters allies have speculated that Antifa, a loose-knit radical left-wing collective, was responsible for enticing violence and storming the Capitol on January 6, 2021. See? Usually Antifa tactics, they like wearing masks. Let me slow it down for y'all so I can read this. The story referenced by Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, Republican of Florida, has since been retracted. The company in question, RX Vision, confirmed to the Post that Antifa members were identified through their software at the Capitol. Video and photos of the mob attack confirmed that many of the rioters were Trump supporters, lawmakers, and individuals with right-wing and extremist beliefs. So here they finna start calling people that does that extremists and terrorists, but they gonna call you domestic terrorists. And guess what they do with terrorists? They lock them away. Under the Patriots Act. If you don't know what the Patriots Act is, you need to look it up. Because that really is a violation of your rights, period. Alright, let's get it. But see, they say video and photos of the mob attack. So if they wasn't using facial recognition, how do you identify people through photos and video? spiking horns, and Fred Quran supporter Jake Agali has long been official an Arizona right-wing political ally. Angela was part of the group that broke into occupied floor after the debate electoral count was halted.
We're in, baby!
There you go.
Share this video! Share this video! Let's go!
That's him right there. Dang. Newly elected Republican West Virginia State Representative Derek Evans live streamed from outside the Capitol. This video shows Evans in a helmet and tactical style gear cheering on the mob ahead.
Well, I'm in her office. I got blood in her office. I'll put a quarter on her desk, even though she ain't worth it.
Okay. Richard Big O Burnett from Grave. Look at this, how they know who these people is, and where they from. I mean, just through a video and photo, facial recognition, every camera, recorder, or whatever you want to call it, every last one of them has them. They use a machine, and all they need is your face. That's it. Take a picture of your face from that camera, put that database data in that database, and guess what's gonna happen? A mess gonna pop up with all your history. But it says was among a group that broke into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office. Burnett criticized Pelosi in a Facebook post for using white nationalists as a derogatory term. This is what he's saying. This is how you know these are Trump supporters. Because they're all about white nationalism. So he criticized Pelosi for calling white nationalism a derogatory term. He was arrested in Arkansas on January 8th and charged with 3 counts of entering restricted grounds, violent entry, and disorderly conduct.
Okay. Hello, U.S. Senate. Yes, we have a fraudulent election. I would like to report. Yeah, we need to get our boy Donald J. Trump into office. Yeah. Can we do that real quick?
Okay. Known as Baked Alaska, far-right influencer and live streamer Tim Giannett also broke into Pelosi's office. Giannett is known for hosting interviews with known neo-Nazis like Richard Spencer. Neo-Nazi. That's how I know it's a Trump supporter. Neo-Nazi and white nationalist is one and the same. They all want to make America great again. The only time they feel like it was great is during slavery.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
Wow.
So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Okay. So we see Donald Trump. Yeah. He don't know what he's talking about. Because ain't nobody finna go home until they feel like that. Until they feel like that you are back in office or you gonna stay in office. Until then, things like this was gonna happen. Right? let's get to the next.
Has also tonight actually vetoed the defense bill, the bill that funds the military. He's been threatening to do this for a long time. First, he said he wanted to make sure the U.S. military would still have bases named after figures in the Confederacy. Then it was something to do with him being mad at Twitter and social media companies. Then it was some vague thing.
If you don't know what veto means he passed the bill. He got the bill passed, basically.
About China being happy. It has been an evolving series of explanations. Who knows what the real reason is? But this is the bill that funds the military and pays the troops, and he has vetoed it tonight. And remember that the next time somebody tells you that liberals saying defund the police was the political end of liberals because that was such terrible politics. Well, here's a rejoinder for you. Here's the president defunding the military. Is he over now because of this? Because of how much Americans revere the military?
Nope.
I mean, he's defunding the military tonight while reportedly musing about how he can try to get an aircraft carrier named after himself. He's defunding the military tonight while at the same time he's vaguely threatening military action against Iran again. What's he going to do, go fight Iran himself? He's defunding the military tonight while he's also been having White House discussions with people.
So if he defund the military and he starts a war with someone else, who's going to fight them? Nobody. So they're going to have other people come and invade America. I mean, it's going to be a lot of stuff going on at once. It's going to be crazy.
Advocating that he invoke martial law and put the country under military control because somehow that will reverse the election results and he can stay president forever.
See? What I tell
you. It is a near certainty that the House and Senate will override President Trump tonight vetoing the bill that funds the military. They said in advance that they would override it. They're planning to reconvene next week on the 28th and 29th to pass that override. But the president really did just veto funding for the troops. Merry Christmas. While he is playing with fire by entertaining talk of martial law at the White House, which is nuts.
Now this was 3 weeks.
Because I'm on insulin, I need to be prepared.
This was 3 weeks. 3 weeks before
for a low blood sugar emergency.
Before all this stuff started happening, right? It was 3 weeks before the riots started going on at the Capitol and all this other stuff going on. Let me show you what happened 5 weeks before all this went on. Let me show you what happened.
On his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order. He could also order, within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times.
So you mean to tell me? You mean to tell me?
Hey, Mom.
That martial law has been introduced 64 times. 64 times. We've seen in the past when martial law was established. We've seen what happened in the past. Oh, don't worry. Just wait till the famine happens. Just wait till they start not putting food in the grocery stores. Who do you think owns food? The things that bring the food here into the grocery stores. They can stop that completely. I mean, martial law is coming. I don't know when, but I do know how. Now I'm connected the dots for you. Do your own research. Look into these politicians. But that's all I have for y'all I'll be back with y'all with another one, another banger. All right, you know, another truth bomb. Please leave a like. So if you ain't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscription button and hit the bell button so you can get all my content when I load it up. It's Unapologetic Truth. Signing out.
I started off on my own, then I got respected. Put all my time into the grind and then I got connected. A few done turned their backs on me and I felt neglected. Now I'm moving on without them unapologetic.